Hey everyone, it's Len at Lion Strong Athletics. If you're like me, you have tight muscles, and you might think you need to stretch more. But what kind of stretching should you do? And when should you do it? And for how long? I'm going to answer these questions and explain the difference between dynamic and static stretching. But first, go hit like and subscribe, leave me a comment, and let me know what kind of muscles you want to learn how to stretch next. Let's start out first by going over dynamic stretching. What this means is we are taking a muscle in and out of a stretch. We're giving it that full length stretch, but then we are not holding it, we're taking it out right away. The benefit of this is that we get to loosen the muscle fibers without any strength loss. Okay, so an example of this, if I'm going to stretch my hamstring out, I could put my hamstring up, and I'm going to go down into a stretch and then come back up. Down into the stretch, come back up. So I'm not holding, I'm going in and out. Another option for the hamstring is to kick this up high, and I'm feeling a stretch. I'm not holding it, but I'm getting a stretch to my hamstring. Another great example is if you're stretching out your chest. Using a rack here, I'm pushing forward, stretching the fibers of my chest, but I'm not holding that position. Again, if you want something a little more ballistic, something like this where I'm going into a chest stretch, but I'm not holding it, helps loosen the fibers up, but I'm not losing any strength gains. So when might you use this, or who might this be useful for? So power lifters and athletes who want to warm up before their sport or their exercise can do these kind of stretches on whatever muscles they're targeting, and they don't lose a whole lot of strength in doing so. So they can loosen up, get limber for their sport, but they're still able to fire on all cylinders. Now, the one con of dynamic stretching is that the lengthening that we get from stretching the muscle is only temporary. So it'll last through our activity, whether we're working out or performing the sport, but we're not going to expect any long-term gains in our flexibility. The second type of stretching is called static stretching. Static stretching, we hold the muscle in a stretch position for a prolonged period of time to elicit long-term change. So an example of this, if I'm stretching that hamstring again, I can get into the exact same position as the dynamic, but this time as I go down into that stretch, I'm going to hold this. Now, how long should I hold it for? Static stretching, ideally at least 40 seconds. Even up to a minute would be fantastic. If you only do this for 10-15 seconds at a time, you're probably not going to elicit much change in those fibers. A good chest stretch is kind of that same position, but now as I push out, I'm going to hold, and I'm going to let those fibers relax in that stretch and actually gain distance. Now, stretching out is a long-term approach, and static stretching is the best way to go about this. But you have to be fairly consistent, especially if you're working out or performing sports, so that those fibers can slowly gain distance and you'll become more flexible over a long period of time. So who should do this? Well, pretty much everyone, unless your goal is performing a sport or you're a power lifter ready to exercise or do a competition. You should be stretching, static stretching a lot. Morning, you wake up, you're very tight, stretch. Maybe you're working at your computer, feeling muscles tighten up, it's a great time to stretch then. Maybe after work, you come home, you're feeling tight, stretch then. Another great answer is pairing it within your workout. Now, the majority of us, we aren't power lifters or we're not professional athletes. So if we stretch before working out, we might lose a little bit of strength, but it's really not that big of a deal. In fact, it might help us feel a little bit looser and help us accomplish the movements a little bit better. So don't worry about it too much. And then after the workout, while your muscles are pumped up, if we stretch the fibers then, we can also get some fascial stretching. Fascia is is the sinew that's within our muscles and surrounding our muscles. And so as we're pumped up, if we go for a stretch then, it'll help stretch those hard to stretch fascia bundles. Static stretching should not be very comfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but you have to put yourself through that. It might even be harder than the workout itself. But there's a reason why you'll see a lot of bodybuilders stretching, and they're often some of the most flexible people around. They spend the time, often after their workouts, to stretch those fibers. And it can actually help you grow because your muscle has more room to grow. So why are we stretching in the first place? Often when our muscles get tight and weak, we can cause injury. So by stretching, we deal with half of that equation. We can loosen the fibers, and then through exercise, we can strengthen those fibers to completely avoid injury or get rid of injury if you are injured. Now, who should do what? Dynamic or static? If you're a power lifter, if you're an athlete, or maybe you're just warming up for your pickleball match, you should be doing dynamic stretching so that you can warm up, so that you are loose enough to prevent injury during your sporting event. Now afterwards, those same people can move on to static stretches if they want to lengthen their fibers, if they feel like they're tight. Okay? Everyone else should be doing static stretching almost all the time, especially if your goal is to pack on some size, if you're a bodybuilder, or just want to gain some mass in general. Static stretching is a great way to increase fiber length and increase volume. If you like this video, go hit the like and subscribe button. Leave me a comment and let me know what you want to see next.